Sarah checks her bank account every morning with the same sinking feeling in her stomach. $200. Again. She makes $60,000 a year, lives in a modest apartment in suburban Philadelphia, drives a used Honda Civic, and doesn't buy designer clothes, but somehow, every single month, her checking account looks exactly the same empty. Here's what makes this even more frustrating. Sarah isn't lazy. She works 50 hours a week as a marketing manager. She's organized at her job, meets every deadline, plans entire campaigns months in advance. But when it comes to her own money, it's like her brain just shuts off. And Sarah isn't alone. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck according to recent financial surveys. But here's what most people get wrong about this. It's not about discipline. It's not about being irresponsible. The psychology behind why some people can't save money is way more complex than anyone wants to admit. Let's talk about what's actually happening in the brain of someone who can't save money. Because once you understand the psychology, everything starts to make sense. The first thing you need to know is something called temporal discounting. It's the scientific term for why your brain values money today way more than money 6 months from now. Researchers at Duke University ran brain scans on people making financial decisions, and what they found was shocking. When someone thinks about spending money right now, the limbic system lights up like a Christmas tree. That's the part of your brain that handles emotions and immediate rewards. But when that same person thinks about saving money for retirement or even saving for next month, a completely different part of the brain activates, the prefrontal cortex. That's your logical, planning, future thinking brain. And here's the problem. The limbic system is ancient. It evolved millions of years ago when our ancestors lived in caves and had to make split-second survival decisions. The prefrontal cortex, that's the new part. The part that can imagine next year or 10 years from now. And in most people's brains, the old system wins every single time. Think about it like this. Imagine you're standing in a coffee shop in downtown Manhattan on a Tuesday morning. You're running late for work. You didn't have time to make coffee at home. The barista is waiting, and you know that $5 latte is not in your budget. You know it, but your limbic system is screaming that you need that coffee right now. You're tired, you're stressed, and in that moment, the idea of being more tired and stressed today feels worse than being broke at the end of the month. So you buy the coffee, and you feel good for about 15 minutes. Then the guilt kicks in. Because your prefrontal cortex finally wakes up and goes, "What did you just do?" This is temporal discounting. And it's not a character flaw, it's basic human neuroscience. But it gets worse, because there's a second psychological mechanism at play called decision fatigue. This one is brutal. Every single decision you make throughout the day depletes your mental energy. It doesn't matter if you're deciding what to wear, which route to take to work, what to say in an email, or whether to buy something. Each decision uses up a tiny bit of your brain's glucose, and by the end of the day, your decision-making ability is completely shot. Researchers at Cornell University found that the average person makes 227 decisions every single day just about food alone. What to eat for breakfast, whether to have a snack, what to order for lunch, should I get dessert, and that's just food. It doesn't even count the dozens of micro decisions about portion sizes or whether to finish what's on your plate. Now add in every other decision. What to watch on Netflix? Should I respond to this text now or later? Do I need gas today or can I wait? Which bills do I pay first? By the time you get to 7 p.m. and you're sitting on your couch scrolling through your phone, your brain is exhausted. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that's supposed to help you make smart long-term decisions, is running on fumes. And that's exactly when the online shopping apps start looking really appealing. That's when ordering takeout instead of cooking sounds like the best idea in the world. People with money problems aren't making bad decisions because they're lazy or irresponsible. They're making bad decisions because their brain literally doesn't have the energy left to make good ones. And this is where it gets really unfair. Because the people who struggle the most with money are often the people who have the most decisions to make. Think about someone working 2 jobs to make ends meet. They're making decisions all day long at both jobs. Then they come home and have to decide how to stretch $40 to feed their family for the rest of the week. Should they pay the electric bill now or wait and risk a late fee? Can they afford to fix the car or do they just hope it keeps running? Every single one of these decisions is high stakes and exhausting. Meanwhile, someone who's financially comfortable might have their bills on auto pay. They might have a meal delivery service so they don't have to think about dinner. They might have enough cushion in their bank account that one unexpected expense doesn't trigger a cascade of stressful decisions. The person with less money has to make more decisions, and every decision makes the next one harder. But here's the third psychological factor that nobody talks about: present bias mixed with identity protection. Your brain has this weird quirk where it treats your future self like a complete stranger. Brain imaging studies from Stanford University show that when people think about themselves 10 years from now, the same part of their brain lights up as when they think about a celebrity they've never met. Your future self is literally a stranger to your current brain. So when you're deciding between saving $50 or spending it on something you want right now, your brain isn't choosing between you and you. It's choosing between you and some random person you'll never meet. And obviously, you're going to choose yourself. Think about Marcus, a 32-year-old software developer in Austin, Texas. He makes $90,000 a year, good salary. But every time tax refund season comes around, he tells himself this is the year he's finally going to save it. Put that $3,000 refund straight into savings and don't touch it, but then his car needs new tires. $400. Okay, fine, that's necessary. Then his friends are planning a weekend trip to New Orleans. $600. It's only once a year, he tells himself. Then his favorite band announces a concert. $200 for tickets. Then there's a sale on that new camera he's been eyeing for 6 months. Before he knows it, the entire refund is gone. And he's sitting there 2 months later wondering what happened. What happened is his brain chose present Marcus over future Marcus every single time. Because future Marcus, the one who would benefit from having $3,000 in savings, felt like a completely different person. Someone who didn't need new tires or concert tickets or cameras. Someone who wouldn't even appreciate the sacrifice. This is why people will tell you with complete sincerity that they're definitely going to start saving money next month. They mean it. They genuinely believe it because they're imagining their future self as this disciplined, organized person who has it all figured out. But when next month arrives, they're not that person. They're still the same person making the same decisions for the same psychological reasons. And on top of that, there's identity protection. This is the part where your brain actively resists change because change feels like a threat to who you are. Let's say you've always thought of yourself as generous. You're the person who picks up the check at dinner. You're the one who buys rounds of drinks for your friends. You send birthday gifts. You tip well. That's part of your identity. That's how you see yourself and how you want others to see you. Now imagine someone tells you that to save money, you need to stop doing those things. You need to split the check. You need to skip the birthday gifts. You need to say no when your friends want to go out. Your brain doesn't process that as a smart financial decision. Your brain processes that as an attack on your identity, and your brain will fight that hard. This is why telling someone to just save money doesn't work. You're not just asking them to change their behavior, you're asking them to change how they see themselves, and that's exponentially harder. There's also something called the scarcity mindset that makes all of this worse. When you're constantly stressed about money, when you're always one emergency away from disaster, your brain gets stuck in survival mode. And in survival mode, your brain stops thinking long-term altogether. Princeton University researchers study this by looking at cognitive performance in people under financial stress. What they found was that worrying about money reduces your cognitive capacity by the equivalent of losing 13 IQ points or missing an entire night of sleep. 13 IQ points. That's the difference between average intelligence and borderline impairment. When you're in scarcity mode, you're not thinking about retirement savings or building an emergency fund. You're thinking about how to make it to Friday, and any money that comes in feels like it needs to be used immediately because who knows when more will come. Here's what this looks like in real life. Jennifer works as a teacher in Phoenix, Arizona. She makes $45,000 a year. She's responsible, she's smart. She has a master's degree in education, but she grew up in a household where money was always tight. Her parents lived paycheck to paycheck. There were times when the electricity got shut off, times when they ate ramen noodles for dinner 3 nights in a row. So now, even though Jennifer is financially stable by most measures, whenever she gets unexpected money, her brain panics. Tax refund comes in. Her brain says, spend it now before something breaks and you need it for an emergency. Bonus at work. Buy something tangible, something you can hold because money in the bank doesn't feel real when you've watched it disappear so many times. This creates a vicious cycle. You can't save because you're stressed about money. And you're stressed about money because you can't save. And the stress makes it even harder to make good financial decisions. Round and round it goes. So, what's the actual solution here? Because just understanding the psychology doesn't pay your bills. The solution isn't willpower. Willpower is a limited resource that runs out. The solution is designing systems that work with your psychology instead of against it. First, you need to automate everything you possibly can. Set up automatic transfers from your checking to savings the day after your paycheck hits. You can't make a bad decision about money you never see. Take decision making out of the equation entirely. Second, you need to reduce your daily decision load. This sounds small, but it matters. Meal prep on Sunday so you're not deciding what to eat every single day. Create a uniform or capsule wardrobe so you're not deciding what to wear. Unsubscribe from marketing emails so you're not constantly being presented with buying decisions. Every decision you eliminate is mental energy you're saving for the important financial choices. Third, make your future self feel real. Studies show that people who look at age progressed photos of themselves save more money. It sounds ridiculous, but it works. Your brain needs to see your future self as an actual person you care about, not a stranger. And fourth, you need to reframe saving as part of your identity instead of a restriction on it. If you see yourself as generous, then being generous to your future self counts. If you see yourself as responsible, then being responsible with money is part of that. Don't change your identity, expand it. The psychology of money is complicated. Your brain wasn't designed for modern financial systems. It was designed to survive on the African savannah, where there was no such thing as a savings account or compound interest. So when your brain struggles with money, that's not a personal failing. That's just biology. But biology can be worked with. You can build systems, you can make better decisions easier and bad decisions harder. You can make saving automatic so it doesn't require willpower. And you can stop beating yourself up for being human. Because at the end of the day, the people who are good with money are not more disciplined or more responsible. They just have better systems. And systems, unlike willpower, do not run out. If this video helped you understand why saving money is harder than it should be, hit subscribe. I break down the psychology behind everyday struggles every single week. And if you want to understand more about how your brain works against you in other areas of your life, that video is on screen now. Click it. Your future self will thank you.